ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. Today is Friday, so we'll be going through what's happening with New Zealand and what's happening with Brexit and what's going on. So we will have a quick look through. So the bombing or the killings in New Zealand. And I really blame the people who've been forcing this so-called diversity and migration, and the whole thing isn't working. And let's go back. We're jumping the gun a bit. Surely it's not terror related. Surely it's got to do with mental health issues, or does that only apply to Muslims? Or another thing that we get told, don't look back in anger. I'm sorry to sound bitter, but I'm just fed up with it all. It's all like now it's suddenly, oh look, it just shows you religion doesn't have a part in terrorism. Yeah, whoever believes that hasn't read the Quran. Yes, it's terror all written over the Quran, the Hadith and the Sunnah. So complete lies, and particularly from the Irish Imam, who completely lying. He's now got his badge on him to whinge, to say he's concerned after the New Zealand tax that it might happen in Ireland. Oh, come on. Now he's going to start whinging more about islamophobia has caused this. And you know what? Well, then what's causing all the attacks that the Muslims are doing worldwide that nothing is being told about? All the raping, the murders, the knifing. What's caused that? Is that Christian phobia? And how come nobody's talking about it? If you're so easy to say, oh, you know, those attacks now, that is Islamophobia, and you blame the right wing, and you have more reasons to whinge and get rid of hate speech and get rid of, you know, free speech and all the rest of it. Well, then ask you one question. You know, if as soon as Muslims are killing Christians or blowing up, murdering and raping, it's right wing's fault. When so-called a Christian or a white person kills, then it's called white. It's also called white people's fault. When is it ever? Do you ever take responsibility? And now you've got another reason to whinge and cry. Oh, I'm so worried. And even when those kids were killed in Manchester, the media came out to worry about putting policemen on the mosques. Not on normal people, on the British people, but no, on mosques. And now it's like, oh, let's worry about poor old Muslims. Even when they're killing us, it's worry about Muslims. So I'm really sick of this double standard. Like, and if it proves out not to be a red flag, which I very much doubt, because I just so bloodthirsty and nothing gets done. Did he really worry about Irish people after the numbers of attacks after Muslim, week after week, after all the gang rapes and the grooming gangs in the UK and Europe, after all the rapes with the migrants all over Europe, and the killing after one, after all the attacks of driving into people? Did he ever once worry about the Irish people? And he's so-called an Irish Muslim. There's no such thing. And he proves it in his comments. He only is worried about Muslims. Did he ever once, after attack, mention that he would be concerned for Irish citizens? No. He's not worried about Irish. He's worried that he's not even worried. He just wants to shed his little, oh, poor us, must stop people being able to talk about Islam, telling the truth about Islam, just ignore all the rapes and the killings. You know, sure, look, it's happened here now, so it gives you more of an excuse to ignore all the rapes and the killings. It's not like as if they're not doing that anyway. They are ignoring the rapes and killing. They barely even get mentioned. Rapes after rapes, murder after murder, everywhere Islam goes into, it creates huge problems. Breaks down society. It's dangerous for women and children. But yes, the media does ignore it, so you're quite safe. You just want to push a little more so that you can stop all free speech. But you probably get that anyway. They're probably going to do that anyway. They won't completely ignore it as a rape. As long as it's not by a Muslim, you can complain about it. But if you're if you're if you're being child abused or anything like that, or gang related grooming gangs, as long as it's not by Muslim men, you can talk out about it. But if not, as they said in the United Kingdom, they should shut up for diversity. So maybe Muslims, you should shut up for diversity's sake too, considering that's what all the children, the young girls in the United Kingdom were told to shut up about the grooming gangs, about sex slavery, for the sake of diversity. So then all Muslims should shut up about this killing for diversity's sake. And don't look back in anger. Remember that. Yeah, I think you should follow your own words as you tell us after time, killings and rapings. You tell us not to look back in anger. And you know what? Diversity is good. So just all shut up. So, get on with your lives and don't worry about the gang raping, the murdering, or the murders of New Zealand. Because for the sake of diversity, live with it. And that's what we get told. So we go on about Merkel. Merkel government have let in thousands of war criminal migrants. Surprise, surprise, as if we didn't know that. Damning new report has claimed since 2014 the German government Chancellor Angela Merkel has allowed thousands of war criminal migrants to enter Europe. No shock, Sherlock. Wow. Surprising you're even allowed. 5,000 believed in Germany alone who committed war crimes and other crimes against humanity. In Sweden has seen a surge of reports of war criminals since 2014. I wonder why that is. Diversity. The real cause of the bloodshed on the New Zealand streets today is the migrant program that is forcing everybody with this bullshit diversity and destroying all our cultures and all our safety. And yeah, it will build up anger. You have to actually look at, can these people live together? And no, after time, rape after murder, it's obvious you can't. You must look at Islam and say, no, you may come in, but you leave everything off that sick practice at the door. And there's no such thing as an Irish Muslim. There's no such thing. And his concern is not for Irish people. It's for Muslims, wherever they are. Muslims do not have a country. Once you're a Muslim, you're a Muslim. Except for, well, they kill each other as well. It's another story. But, it's just unbelievable. 3 Algerian migrants have been arrested in Spain after torture and murder of a man, which was live streamed on social media. The incident echoes of other crimes that have been live streamed on social media by migrants, including rape of a young girl by asylum seekers, young girls. It's just, this will all be ignored because Muslims are doing it. And it's just shocking. There's generations now of women, 2 generations at least, have been affected by, women and children, been affected by this bullshit migrant crisis. It's time to close the border and send them all bloody home. We've had enough of this. Enough. Send them all bloody back. They're not doing anybody or any country any good. Putting everybody's lives in danger is no good. Sick of it. Prime Minister, United Kingdom, the 3rd time lucky, putting in a deal to Parliament again. But the deal she's putting in, she might as well stay in the EU, because they're like, literally, we will leave when you tell us we can leave, sort of bullshit. They're not deals for the UK. They're completely for the EU. She's a complete traitor. They've left the no deal for the EU on the table. Nigel Farage says no delay from the EU, or we will elect 73 Nigel Farages into European Parliament. The EU with no deal to leave on the table. London to vote on whether to leave for delay. And President Trump says he gave May advice, but she didn't listen. And another vote would be very unfair on the people who won. Leaving the UK remains the best interest for the UK. Desire for a strong UK and US trade deal. We can do a very big trade deal with the UK. Hopes for the future relationship with the UK. The potential is unlimited, he goes on to say. The British were told once in the general vote and would never be asked to vote again when Cameron said to them that this was a once in a lifetime vote and you will never be asked to vote again. So he's right about that. It would be very unfair to ask them. But mind you, we were asked on Lisbon and Nice. So, which was totally unfair, and I don't think it would be fair on the British. But the British are supposed to be seen with actual a proper government, where ours is a joke. They don't really care, particularly Leo. It's actually embarrassing watching him go to America. He's just a joke. His hatred for the Irish is unbelievable. He's over there representing the EU and the UN. He said to President Trump, I'd prefer a deal. After he said that about the UK, that there'll be great deals made with the United Kingdom and it would be sees great potential. He says, I prefer to see a deal with the EU. He's such a fucking puppet. And then he goes on to talk about the UN as well, where Ireland is proud members of the EU and UN. Maybe you are, Leo. I don't know anybody proud members of the EU or the UN, particularly the UN. What the hell are they doing? There is an Islamic force of Shia around the world. Like, I cannot stand. He does not speak for me or anyone I know. He shouldn't be allowed to speak. He's no mandate. Nobody voted him in. Nobody even voted his bloody party in. He shouldn't be allowed to speak on behalf of the Irish people. He should fucking speak on behalf of India if he wants. Unbelievable. Trump goes on to say Ireland is a fantastic country that are strong, intelligent, and make bad enemies. They're strong people, very intelligent, and make very bad enemies. Leo is not Irish, though, so wasted breath on him. Hungary passes, I love Hungarian leader. Hungary passes a Stop Sorrows law. Yahoo! Making it a crime to help migrants come into their country. Absolutely fantastic leader. The real hope for Europe is Hungary, Poland, Austria, and Italy. That is the real hope for Europe. That we get out of this fucking insane dictatorship of the EU, or if the EU is to remain, may it grow with Austria, Hungary, Poland, and Italy. May those countries bring it on to something that will make Europe safe and secure and not flooded by North Africans and Muslims, because that is making Europe, Africa, black and African and Muslim Africans. That's what it's doing. Where Europe should remain Europe with its own identity, each and every country with its own identity and its own culture. That is real diversity, not making Europe, Africa, Muslim, African. That is not diversity. Diversity is what already exists in Europe. Each country with either their own unique language, culture, tradition, heritage, and blood. Completely all different. It's not just all a white race. The genetic makeup is completely different from each country until the EU has decided to destroy each and every genetic makeup. The cluster of the genetic makeup in each of these European countries are completely different and makes us very different in our culture, our heritage, and in our blood. And that's what is diversity. Destroying that is destroying real diversity. Again, thank you for listening on The Bonry Show on ITV.ie and Irish News Radio. We'll be speaking to the wonderful Eileen tomorrow about what she thinks about what's going on with the Brexit and Trump and the New Zealand. Is it a false flag? Does she feel that it was put there by the elites to kind of get us all going, look, it's not just Muslims who kill. Look at that. There's white supremacists are the real danger. After murder, Muslims can all disappear. And after all the rapes and the beheadings and everything, the sex slavery, that doesn't matter because there, look, in New Zealand, there's that killing equals all around the world. And we'll find out her feelings on that. Okay, thank you very much. Good evening and enjoy your Friday night.
You are listening to Irish News Radio at irishnews.net. Email news@irishnews.net.